Are you going around in circles with wrist pain, having tried all the generic stretches that you've probably seen on YouTube? In this video, I'm going to give you 8 things that you probably haven't tried that are going to get you ahead of 99% of people who are struggling with wrist pain. Why bother listening to me? Well, I'm a physio and I help people online and in person get back to training or daily activities pain-free. Number 1. Imagine your body a little bit like a whip. The movement and the force should start from the handle, which is your shoulders, and then it should flow smoothly down to the tip, which is your wrists. If the handle is stiff and doesn't move well, all the force gets jammed up further down the whip, which is your wrists, and this causes them to overcompensate and potentially become stiff and painful. So by improving your shoulder mobility, this will distribute the load more evenly between your shoulder and wrist, which will reduce the strain and reduce your wrist pain. Number 2, think of your wrists like the bottom of a tall Jenga tower. If the blocks at the top, which are your shoulders, your core and your upper body, aren't strong and stable enough, all the force gets pushed down to the bottom, making the foundation, which is your wrist in this case, work overtime to prevent the tower from collapsing. Improving your gymnastic strength is like reinforcing the whole tower. So with better overall stability and control, your wrists haven't got to overcompensate and the body can work as a whole, again, to distribute the load more evenly between everything. Number 3, imagine your wrist like a car suspension system. When it's healthy, it can absorb bumps and jolts on the road so that the ride is nice and smooth and stable. But after you get a wrist injury or pain, it's like the suspension is damaged, so it can't absorb the shocks as well. So instead of smooth, controlled movements, your wrists feel weak and you lack confidence absorbing force. Now, simply replacing the suspension, or in this case, strengthening the wrists, is a good short-term solution. But the long-term solution is actually to retrain the wrists to absorb unpredictable forces. And that obviously happens in training or in day-to-day life. And this is where plyometrics come in. Plyometrics are the equivalent of shock absorbers in a car. They help you to adapt to unpredictable loads and absorb the force effectively. Number 4, think of a hangover as the same discomfort you feel in your wrist. After a long night of drinking, you're probably feeling pretty shit, pretty tired. If you haven't prepped before the hangover by taking some electrolytes and hydrating correctly, and then the morning after doing the same, then your body's going to suffer and you're going to feel pretty rubbish. Now imagine the amount of upper body muscle mass you have is like a foundation after the hangover. The stronger and more muscle mass you have, the better your upper body deals with excessive load and strain that is placed on the wrist. Think of your upper body muscle mass like those electrolytes and water you should probably drink before you go out and then the morning after. Number 5, isometrics. Think about this a little bit like having your first cup of coffee in the morning. You wake up, you've had quite a bad night's sleep, you're feeling a bit sluggish, and that first cup of coffee just gets you going and you feel up for the day, you feel motivated, you feel ready to go. Isometrics in wrist rehab are a similar thing. They get blood flow to the area, they reduce your pain, and then they get you ready for more active movements, whether that be strengthening, plyometrics, or some loaded mobility. Number 6, load management. Think about load management a little bit like sustainable weight loss. If you've tried to lose weight before and you've been on these fad diets like carnivore, keto, or you've just tried to lose weight in an extremely short period of time, what typically ends up happening is you lose that weight, but then you put it back on very, very quickly because the process isn't sustainable and you haven't actually changed your lifestyle. You've just gone on a quick binge of something. This is similar to load management. If we increase the amount of volume and load we're placing on the wrist too quickly over a short space of time, it responds with pain because it's simply not used to it. So we need to gradually increase the amount of load we're putting on the wrist. A good rule to have is no more than a 5 to 10% increase in volume from week to week with movements that are going to load the wrist quite a lot, like gymnastic movements or push-ups, pull-ups, anything where it involves a lot of grip. Number 7, think of loaded wrist mobility like performing an astrograph squat. When you squat with a full range of motion, it's not just about your legs being strong. Your muscles and your brain actually have to get used to the new range of motion, and this can take a little bit of time. And the best way to get used to these new positions with squatting is to add some load. So again, it's sending signals to the brain that we want to load this position, and so your body will then get used to that position and be comfortable there. This is the same thing with loaded wrist mobility. There's no point in just doing banded wrist stretches. You actually need to load your wrist mobility with dumbbells, kettlebells, or your body weight. And you don't need to put your full body weight on it straight away, but you can start off with maybe 40 or 50% of your body weight off a wall and then gradually work your way down to the floor. Again, this is a common theme of gradual progression, which will get your wrist comfortable and strong in these new ranges of motion. Number 8, improving your exercise capacity for your wrist is a little bit like improving your alcohol tolerance for a rugby social. When you first turn up and you're in your first year of uni, you really struggle. You go on your first few rugby socials and you're slacking, you feel absolutely awful the next day, your alcohol tolerance is not there, you can only have a few pints and you're dead, you're gone. After a little bit of time, as you build up your alcohol tolerance, gradually, again, not having massive jumps, then you build up a tolerance and you notice that you can suddenly drink more alcohol and your recovery from nights out is much better. This is similar to increasing your exercise capacity for your wrists. If your wrists have a higher capacity, then you can train exercises that involve them more and you're far less likely to get injured. And the way you can improve this is by doing all of the things I mentioned very gradually. So doing more isometrics, doing more plyometrics, improving your shoulder mobility, improving your wrist mobility with loaded exercises. I hope you enjoyed that video. YouTube will recommend another one for you up here. And if you're interested in what I do with people one-to-one, just check out the links down below. Take care, see you in the next one.